Hey guys, Julian here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to level out and mix your tracks. I'm going to show you how to take something from this kind of like a weak, thin sound, or not thin, but you know, it's not like bad stuff in there. It just needs to be kind of mixed a bit, volume-wise. And then we're going to show you how to turn that into this. As you can hear, you know, this is much better mixed. Everything has its right place in the mix. Everything is loud enough. It's got an even space. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to do that. This was something you guys requested. And to do this, I'm using my Techno Track mixing template. The link to this is right at the top of the description. It's only $5 on my Bandcamp. It's a great template if you want to, you know, just kind of have an easy way to get your tracks kind of already started sounding pretty nice, you know. You can see I've got everything in here. There are all these buses. Everything is kind of laid out nicely. The levels are already set pretty well, so you can just kind of take your stuff and drop it in here, or even just work with this and make your own thing. But link to that is at the top of the description. This is the finished project, and today I'm going to be using this with this unmixed one that I have up here to show you how I would take something and turn it into something that sounds that good. So yeah, so the first thing I would do when you have this, which this represents your track, which may not be mixed so well, you know, it may not really have the best, you know, everything may not be fitting together so greatly. And the first thing I would do is turn everything off except for the kick and the bass. So we'll turn off the synth, the percussion, the hi-hats, and I'm pretty sure that's it. And then we're left with just... So right off the bat, we can turn that up. You know, usually the kick is going to be the loudest thing in the mix. So I try to do that. And then just keep in mind like where it's hitting too. Like, you know, right about here is good, because all this other stuff is going to add some more gain on. So we'll still have a bit of headroom. But now we have the kick like pretty loud and powerful, and we can also check the bass and the kick balance too. Like, you know, is it too much of one or the other? Maybe we can turn the bass down a little, get a little bit more of that punch in the kick. And there we go. And you'll notice also the technique here. You know, it's like I'm not just turning up the kick because I want the kick to be louder. I want the kick to be louder and I want the bass to be quieter, so I'm turning the bass down. This is how you always want to do it. Never turn, like if you want something to be louder, don't just turn that thing up, just turn the other thing that is too loud down, and then it'll balance out a little bit better, because this way you're always leaving yourself more headroom. You know, you really need to make sure like that you're not clipping with your master here. You don't want where my cursor is down here. You don't want that to ever go too high, you know. You need to keep that down to maybe like between -4 or -3, and then -5 and -6. And as long as you can do that, you're good. So yeah, just making sure that you turn stuff down to turn something else up, rather than just turning that thing up. So from there, once I have the kick and bass good, that's when I usually bring in like the main sort of lead or the main synths. We'll start with the analog. Now I am going to turn this up a little bit now just because it's a bit quiet. Now we'll turn this down a bit. And just like really listening and like evaluating, like, you know, is this lead hitting in the right place? Is the string hitting in the right place? And something that's also important to keep in mind is the like width of your sounds too, because when you have synths like this, the levels of them aren't always just about like, you know, how loud they are in the mix, but also kind of like the space that they're fitting into in the mix. So something I like to do a lot of times is I'll take, like if I have a synth like this or a sound like this, we can put this echo on here, and then what I'll do is I'll set it to, I'll unsync these and then set these to 2 separate times. And then what can happen now is this is going to be a bit wider because we're hearing these like 2 echoes at 2 different times without it. and then with it. And you can hear that. It's like, it's a really great way to kind of spread this out. And now there's a little bit more space. You can hear now there's a bit more space for the lead and for the string because they're in two separate places, stereo wise. And again, we're still checking the master. We're at -5, so we're still good. This is the stage where I'll usually start bringing in the hi-hats, like kind of just bringing in, you know, more of this main percussion. So we'll turn these hi-hats back on. And now we're gonna need to do a little bit of work inside of the group here because if you notice, we have a few layers here because we have this one, but then we've got this and this one. And the thing here is we need both of these because this one that's really quiet here, that's in there for the mid-range. And then this one is in there for the high-end. So if you're just hearing that high-end one, the hi-hats don't really sound the best right now, but what we can do is just go in and turn this one down a little bit and just like really making sure that the layers are good together. Now you hear a lot more of that mid-rangey one. And now you can hear it has a lot more punch. So whenever you have layers like that, it's important to get the layers right first and then bring it into the track. You know, make sure that the two sounds that you're layering, or maybe it's 3 or maybe it's 4, make sure that those are really solid together, and then you can go and actually try to like bring them into the track. Don't just try to bring it into the track because you're gonna end up with like a lot of things that are in your track at like -25 dB that nobody's ever hearing, and it's just gonna be kind of confusing. But yeah, that's pretty good. And you can see like the grouping helps a lot too because it kind of helps to put things in their own place. Like obviously with the group processing, that's important, but just speaking in terms of leveling, it's very easy to get this in kind of the right balance when you have like all of the low end in one group, all the main synths in one group, all the hi-hats in another group, because you're able to really go through and like just have each, like, okay, I want the hi-hats to be louder. And as a matter of fact, to do that, we'll turn the other stuff down a little bit. But it's like, I don't have to just sit there and, you know, go through each individual one and turn it up. I can just say, okay, let's bring the hi-hats a bit louder in the mix. And then it's just kind of like a simple process from there. Next thing we'll bring in will be the percussion. And this is pretty solid in the mix. However, you'll notice, I think this clap is way too quiet. So this is another thing that can happen a lot. It's like when you have little like, this clap isn't really doing a whole lot, you know, it's just in there playing like those little percussive notes. It's important, but it's not playing that many notes, and it's kind of in the background. So when you have layers like this, it's easy for those to fall into the background and get kind of lost. I think it really helps if you just make sure you take your time and like get those turned up. Like a lot of times it'll be like the little clap like this that's in the background, or maybe like this happens to me a lot with effects. I'll have like sweeps and reverse crashes and all that kind of stuff, and by the time I'm done with the track, they're way too quiet. So it's like you really got to make sure you turn this up and just go through and like, no matter how small the layer is or no matter how little it's contributing to the overall mix, it's important to just really make sure that like it's all in the perfect place and that you pay attention to the detail. I think a lot of this just has to do with like detail work as well, and like just really making sure that you pay attention to all the little details of everything. The last thing to bring in here, after we get all that sort of like main stuff, will be these extra synths here. And with those, same deal, just making sure like each one has its own place and it's in the right spot in the mix. Or maybe we'll turn this stuff down a little bit. And there we go. And now you can see we're hitting at -3.51, so pretty good. We're still between -3 and -6, like I said. So yeah, that's pretty much the process. And something like also that you'll notice with this that I think is really important is just making sure that you pay attention, like, to actually listening to the track, you know. Don't just mix it, like, with, you know, doing that and just turning things up every time. Sit there and let the track play out and just hear the flow of everything and how it's all fitting over time. This is, you know, part of how music works. Music is meant to be sort of art over time, right? Like, it's the progression of these sounds that you get invested in your songs. So if you're mixing it, you need it to be authentic to that experience. You can't just mix like, okay, cool, gonna turn the hi-hat up. You know, you can't do that. You gotta sit there and really just let it play over time, because this is how people are hearing it when they're listening to your track. So it's important to do it that way. But yeah, there we go. So that is how you would go from a track that is sounding, you know, not mixed so well, or maybe you just don't really know how to mix your track, and then level it out properly and make it sound professional and full, and have everything be loud enough and be good sounding. So yeah, that is it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the mixing template right at the top of the description. It's just $5. It's a great way to support me, and it's also a really nice little template for mixing your tracks. Plus, you get all the sounds you heard in here. So maybe you just want, like, you know, this kick. This is a pretty fat kick. Or maybe you just want the percussion or hi-hats or whatever. It's all down there. And yeah, so that's me for this one, guys. Thank you very much, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.